I want to call to order regular meeting of Ascension Parish Council, June 15th, 2017. Please stand for the prayer to be given by Councilman Randy Cluott, and the pledge will be led by Councilman Oliver Joseph.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, we ask that you look upon all the people of Ascension. Let's ask that we continue to rebuild from the devastating flood in 2016. Lord, it's every day that we ask that you stay on the shoulders and look out for the folks in law enforcement, fire, emergency, and the military, the people that help us keep the rights and keep America where we can speak our minds. Lord, it's with special hearts that we ask that you look upon the families of those of the shooting in Washington. We ask that you take a special look at Louisiana's own Steve Scalise, bring him and his family through this, and guide them to a better place. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Madam Secretary, we have all council members present except Councilman Todd Lambert. There are no chair additions tonight. If you want to comment publicly on an item, please fill out a card from the podium and return that to the secretary. Mr. Parish President, your report.
Sir, I'd like to take a moment to offer a prayer, silence of prayer for Congressman Steve Scalise and the victims of the shooting in Virginia yesterday, like Mr. Cluott said. Just a second of. Thank you. Congressman Scalise met with the delegation from Ascension for the past 2 years. He doesn't have to meet with us because Ascension Parish is not even in his district. The fact that he would meet with us is a testament to public service done right. He cares about Ascension Parish, and he cares about the state of Louisiana. This incident is a reminder to all of us that the solidity of politics is needed more now than ever. I hope we all can join together in that commitment and bring aware to the public service in all of our partnerships. The best partnerships are among people who know how to respect the others and people who seek ways to mend fences and invite others to join. Thank you. That's all I have today.
Okay, thank you. The consent agenda tonight, we have two speakers on the consent agenda. I will read the agenda first, and then we'll bring the speakers up. Item number 1A, agreement with B.M. Aguilar and Associates for the design and permitting of the Modest Fire Station for a not-to-exceed amount of $30,000. Item B, renewal of the master contract for professional services between CSRS and Ascension Parish Government for engineering review agency services for a not-to-exceed amount of $250,000. Item C, cooperative endeavor agreement between the Board of Supervisors of Louisiana State University and A&M College, represented by the LSU Agricultural Center and the Ascension Parish Government for 4-H agent 4-H agent position to provide 4-H youth development programs not to exceed $50,000. Item D, cooperative endeavor agreement between the Parish of Ascension and Ascension Parish 4-H for funding of the 4-H District Livestock Show in an amount of $8,000. Item E, amendment to Curtis Environmental Contract to add the current contract for analytical testing not to exceed $8,500. Item F, amendment number 1 to GPS Fleet Management and Safety Agreement for the extension of time and compensation through August 1st, 2017 for additional $16,552.80. Item G, authorization to amend the contract between Ascension Parish and M&H Builders, Inc. for the DPW building retrofit, adding change order number 002 to increase the contract sum by $14,578 and an additional 10 days. Total contract sum, including change order, will be $454,153. Item H, amendment to management and operating agreement between Ascension Parish Government and Piccadilly Food Service, LLC, at Lamar Dixon Expo Center to revise Section 6 of agreement. Financial terms: A, definition. 2I, reductions to include all alcohol. Net sales shall now exclude all revenue directly from alcohol. Company will now pay to client 6% of all net sales. Item I, bid items to accept lowest responsive bids as follows. Finance: A, Great All XL 3300 Series 5 telescoping boom excavator, Scott Equipment Company, $299,585. Item B, tandem dump trucks, 3 units, model T400 series, Lone Star Truck Group, $285,324. Item C, VACCOM, vacuum truck, culvert cleaner, Covington Sales and Services, $149,900. D, reconfigure duct sock installation, CMC Corporate Solutions, $24,743. Item J, resolution recommending approval of Project Bow Season for the participation in the Industrial Tax Exemption Program at Talon Drive, Gosmer. Item K, renewal of agreement with Centos Corporation. Item L, approval of agreement between DOTD, Parish of Ascension, and the Capital Region Planning Commission, State Project Number HO 11451 for the rehabilitation of LA 22 from the junction of I-10 to the junction of LA 429. M, roads for acceptance into the parish maintenance system as follows. Oakland Crossing Subdivision, Silver Creek Court, 553 feet. Emery Creek Court, 493 feet. Cedar Grove Way, 452 feet. Oakland Crossing Boulevard, 2,660 feet. The first speaker that we have is Mr. Chase Malonzo, and he wanted to speak on item B of the consent agenda.
How you doing, council members? And pardon me, I may have as many questions as I do comments about number B. According to public records, since January of last year, we've done $425,000 worth of contracts with CSRS since January last year, of $50,000 or $250, and here recently we did a $125, adding on to the original, and just looking at it, I mean, and to my surprise, it looks like we've actually collected a majority of it back, like the 260,000 range as of March of this year, and the biggest question I have is that I see that a large amount of money that we're collecting, you know, from the parish to justify having a CSRS is the fees that we're collecting. And I notice on our $175,000 that we bring in is on plan review fees. And it seems like that includes just your run-of-the-mill family petitions and subdividing amongst families. And so those fees are included in the money that we're stating we're being reimbursed to pay them. But I'm curious if CSRS is actually have any involvement in that. And if they're not, then I don't think the bucket holds water that we're getting all of our money back. And the second comment I would like to say is on CSRS's billing, almost everything they do on their engineer interns, they charge $100 an hour, and for a project manager, they charge $165 an hour. And I don't know if it's under the same umbrella, but I know we have like almost a dozen project managers. And for $100 an hour, would it not behoove us to, you know, have our own in-house engineers? I mean, if we're getting $250,000, $300,000 a year's worth of fees, I mean, we could hire some pretty good people, you know, to come over here and work for us. And also, item number F, the GPS fleet agreement. I remember a few months back, I believe it was Mr. Lawler, had a little, he wanted to bring up an ordinance on that, and I was curious, before we renew this, did we ever decide on anything? Is that, are all those back in service? Are we utilizing all of them? And every, the however many we had, I knew we were wasting a lot of money because they wasn't even in the vehicles. And item number M, I just kind of have a comment to make. I remember a few months ago that there were, I want to say on River Highlands, maybe, they were asking for us to pitch in and help them with their road and whatnot. And y'all decided no. And I'm just curious, what's the difference of taking in new roads that in 10 or 15 years will be in the same predicament that River Highlands is now? So, thank you.
Thank you. So then we have Mr. George Armstrong to talk on items 6A and 6J.
Thank you. My name is George Armstrong. My address 37245 Sioux Street, Geismar. And I am here again before you just to speak for a moment about item J and in general the industrial tax exemption program that is related to. I am representing myself as a Ascension Parish resident and taxpayer, and Together Louisiana, a statewide network of churches and nonprofit organizations. And we would like to commend this body for the seriousness with which it is taking its new responsibility to provide oversight for the industrial tax exemption program. As you know, the governor's executive order last year requires that local bodies, taxing authorities, grant approval for any industrial tax exemptions, whereas you did not have that authority before. The State Board of Commerce and Industry granted those tax exemptions without your approval. But you now have that authority, and we are glad you are taking it seriously. We've been able to meet with several of you and other public officials. This parish has the opportunity to be one of the leaders in the state in reforming this program for the benefit of the taxpayers. Ascension Parish ranks number 4 in the state in granting tax exemptions or having them be granted by the Board of Commerce and Industry, primarily because we have such a good location for industry. And so some tax exemptions are certainly merited to attract new business, but we hope that the exemptions you grant meet the conditions spelled out by the governor and do provide real benefit for our communities and for our citizens. And we also encourage, as has been discussed before, a clawback provision so that if the companies that are granted exemptions do not meet what they promise to do and the jobs they promise to create under that exemption, then part of that tax exemption will be rescinded proportionally to what they are not able to come through with. And I thank you for your efforts in this regard. Thank you.
Okay, no more speakers on the consent agenda. Is there any desire to remove any items from the consent agenda?
Move to accept the agenda.
Motion to accept by
Second.
Councilman Joseph, second by Councilwoman Kessel. Any discussion? Any opposition? Consent agenda is adopted. Item number 7, approval of substantial completion DPW building, M&H Builders, Inc., Mike Enlow, Assistant DPW Director.
Good evening. This is to request substantial completion for the DPW East retrofits. The building is complete, and we're all moved into both remodeled sections of the building.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Cluide, second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Any discussion? Any opposition?
Thank you.
Motion that resolution is approved. Item number 8, approval of substantial completion Lamar Dixon Expo Center, 4-H building, concert event power, Gonzalez Electrical Service, Kyle Rogers.
Good afternoon. These two projects, one was the concrete for barns 7 and 8 that will help us house the animals during the 4-H state livestock show, the district show, and the parish show. The other is to reroute power in the 4-H building to better suit the consumer shows and concerts that we'll be holding there.
Motion.
Second. Who was it?
I'll give it to Randy.
Councilman Kluart, second Councilman Cagnolati. Any discussion, any further questions, any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
Item number 9, approval of supplemental agreement number 2 between Louisiana Department of Transportation and the Parish of Ascension, LA River Road Steamboat Overlook Interpretive Center Project. Martha Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. This is just an extension of one we've already previously signed. I came to the council last time and we approved a contract between the parish and Stewart. Now this is an agreement between DOTD and the parish to fund the money. It's in writing with the contract and we just want to make it whole.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilwoman Kessel. Any questions? Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion's approved. Approval of Addendum 2, Cooperative Endeavor Agreement between the Parish of Ascension and Homeless House Foundation, LA River Road Steamboat Overlook Interpretive Center. Ms. Collins.
Yes, sir. This is the follow-up to the one we just approved.
Motion.
This is
Second.
Motion by Councilman Kluart, second by Councilwoman Casso. Any questions, any discussion, any opposition? Motion is approved.
Thank you.
Chairman, for the record, the parish puts up no money in this. We're just acting as a pass-through.
That would be the only thing we
Any
want to do.
additional funding is paid by Homeless House. Just
Thank you. I was aware of that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Item 11, what was that? Item 11, approval of RFQ for utilities, general, legal, counsel, and support services. Ken Dawson. Oh, looks like Joan.
Good
Ms.
evening.
Shivers.
On May 30th, 2017, the Purchasing Department received 2 proposals for legal counsel and support services for the Ascension Parish Utilities Department. After review, the Ascension Parish Non-Engineering Selection Committee recommend accepting the proposals submitted by Rodale Parsons and to authorize the parish president to begin contract negotiations for this service.
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
Who was it? Councilman Johnson? And Councilwoman Casso, second. Any discussion, any questions? Any opposition? Motion's adopted. Thank you. Item 12, resolution authorizing the continuation of flood debris pickup, Parish President Matassa.
Excuse me, Council, you know, I talked to you in the past about the debris, how we were picking it up, and I told you before it was over, we probably was going to have to spend some money ourselves. Well, we done got to that point, and we had a meeting and tried to, and figured it out, because most of what's out there is not on close to the parish road. It's on private roads. And so we got with O'Neill, which I'm going to let him speak in a minute, then Rick's going to come tell you what we're going to do to try to notify all of our constituents that this is going to be our last round, but we're going to have to put it on our own nickel. So O'Neill,
Well, I was asked to do some legal research to determine whether we could do this. So I went to the Attorney General opinions from back in 2005 and 2006 after Katrina. And in those times, the Attorney General reached an opinion that if it was a public service that needed to be done for the health, safety, and welfare of the public, and with that, and to assist in growth, that this type of work could be done, that you could actually go on private property and remove debris or demolish if it's related to a natural disaster. So it would be only those that result of the flood damage that we could do this for. But it's illegal. I talked with the DA about it. We don't have any problem as long as you go under a state of emergency to do it.
okay, I need Rick to come up.
We have a motion.
Mr. Weber.
Councilman Kluart.
Wait,
Let Rick give his spiel. We might
just
want to
just
Come
give
on.
a couple
Come on,
minutes.
Rick.
budget,
Thank you.
see what the budget looks like.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, you've got two options to pick up the remainder of the debris. One is you can use the in-house resources that we have. You can assign those crews back to me, or you can contract it out. If you contract it out, it's going to be substantially more expensive, and then you can expect a substantial bill for tipping fees. Either way, either way the administration and you guys decide to do it, I'm willing to go with it, but we have to jump through some legal hurdles to make this happen. But there needs to be a stopping point when we're done with this final pass. You know, the remaining debris is the debris that was ineligible when we made our last pass, because we only picked up stuff that we was able to claim for FEMA. What's remaining is on private property, and just clearly understand that we're gonna have to use public resources to go on private property and private entities to pick it up.
Councilman Kluot.
Yeah, Rick, just thanks for the briefing there. But, you know, some of the places we're talking about on private property or private roads, it's still, it's hindering the neighborhoods, it's hindering the drainage, it's hindering all kinds of stuff. So, you know, I think that we should do it, and I stand with my motion.
Councilman Lawler.
Question. What type of assurances do we have that this is actually flood-related debris as opposed to just general construction debris?
You don't. We can't pick up reconstruction debris. If we see new sheetrock, as an example, if you see new sheetrock that's been cut and laying on top of a pile, I just need you to be clear that the debris that we're picking up is not the ones that's regulated by FEMA now. This is debris that we're picking up on our own, that we're not going to make a claim on, that we're going to have to bear this expense. So those rules that applied when we were picking it up for FEMA doesn't necessarily apply now. So if you want to pick up reconstruction debris, you can. That's totally you have the authority to do so. I just need to know what that design looks like. If you want to just pick up just flood debris, we'll do that also, and we'll leave the reconstruction debris alone. I'd recommend that because now you're getting into duplication of benefits with insurance. I would recommend leaving reconstruction debris alone and picking up only the debris that was generated by the flood incident.
That's my motion.
Then we've got a resolution. That's what the resolution says. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay,
Right. That's what we
further
want.
questions? Mr. Johnson.
O'Neill, I guess, just for a clarification, so under the state of emergency from the flood, with FEMA out of the picture now, is that declaration over with, or are we still under that declaration with this, picking up this debris?
Where you're, in the resolution, you're asking the parish president to declare a local emergency to do that because of the risk that we're running to with the health, safety, and welfare of the public on these issues. And that's what they did. In fact, in New Orleans and all, they authorized, without even contacting landowners, going in and tearing down properties. So
Right.
I'm not asking to go, I'm not suggesting we go that far.
No, I'm good. I'm just, I know you mentioned about the declaration. I know the declaration was for the flood, but with FEMA and all them out of the way now, so it's a different declaration
Right.
that we're
asking
doing
for an
locally. Okay,
emergency
that's fine.
because of this.
Okay, very good.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilman,
Wait, let me just say
You
one
okay?
thing, Mr. Chairman. You know, we looked at all the scenarios, and Bill, being as busy as he is trying to get all the ditches straight, I was gonna rent a piece of equipment for a month, hire an operator that I have lined up that they need anyway, that after he finishes, he'll go with them. But we talked about it, our truck's so small, there's houses that haven't been torn down yet. We need to get it out to the constituents. This is our last run. And so they can tear them down. We're going to go on private property and push it to the road. And then we're going to push everything to the road first and then get that company with the big trucks to go pick it up. That's our cheapest route, we think.
Councilman Lawler.
My concern is I'd like to see an accounting of this and kind of, you know, I don't know what it's going to cost. Do we have any idea of what it's going to cost?
Depending on what route you take, if you use contractors, just the tipping fees alone, it's going to be over $60,000. We're expecting to go anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 contract. It'll be substantially cheaper if you use in-house resources. But I want to assure the council that before we go on private property, we have to have the legal documentation in place before we enter, just to make sure that we protect the parish. So a right of entry, a hold harmless agreement, validating that you actually own the property, because we had a couple of people sign to get some debris removed because they just wanted it out of the way. They didn't even own the property. So we had to validate all of these things before we do that, just to make sure that we're on firm legal ground before we commit any resources to it. But we can monitor it as we pick it up. To answer your question, we'll monitor it as we pick it up, and we'll make sure that we have a good accounting of what's happening.
Councilman Cluett.
Yeah, I just want to, you had already said what I was going to say, that we will have a right of entry and a hold harmless agreement with it, okay, on every landowner's property. And plus, we have a data bank of people that were flood victims, okay? So, you know, we can justify what we're doing here. I just want to remind everybody that as this flood happened, and FEMA came in, and the federal help came in different forms through FEMA, through now Restore, and different things like that, is based on regulations. Throughout, no matter what happened, there were times when people were in identical situations of harm, and through the case manager or whatever was going on, these folks got this amount of help. Somebody 2 doors down got a little bit of help and nothing passed there, okay? Or there was some stipulation or regulation based on private road, public road, things. So we have constituents, taxpaying constituents, that we didn't help so far. And I think this last pass is a good thing to do for the citizens, and reach out and try to get it. I agree with you. I know what contracting costs, and you can definitely run it with less bureaucracy than what the federal government does. But fact is that if you've got a qualified operator, you can rent the equipment and get away with it.
Mr. President.
As Mr. Cluett said, we know the houses. We just met with Restore again this week, and we're going to get the list from them of like 7,900 houses. And those people, we're going to phone bank call them to try to get them to register for funds available. And that's another story, but we know those houses. We got the total list. And so we're going to call those people, and while we calling them, we're going to ask them if they got anything to be picked up and try to, you know, let them know that we're going to be coming. And so that's where we're at.
Councilman Joseph.
Yeah. Is there a time limit on it? I know you keep on saying this is our last go-around, but, I mean, some people need to at least know if you're going to give them 30 days, 60 days, or what on this resolution?
No, we're going to, well, we're trying to see how much is out there, and then we're going to, when we start calling, we're going to let people know what we're doing. But definitely by the end of July, it's going to be over. Probably the middle of July, but I'm going to come back to you at the next meeting.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
So I have one comment. So I have a pretty large pile myself on in my district, and not me, on Highway 22. But I want to remind people that this is part of the safety that, you know, we have this pile on 22 that's probably half the size of this building. So if you have a hurricane or if you have high winds, that could be scattered and through people's windows, and it could block the ditches that we currently have. And I presume that everybody here has maybe something like that in their district, but this is a safety item. Am I not correct with that?
You're correct. The pile you're making reference to is we couldn't get a 100 cubic yard debris truck next to it because it would sink it to the axles. You need smaller equipment to start moving it out towards the road. We just didn't have that authority to move on private property at the time. So, and just to be clear, we know where the debris is, you know, most of it. You know, there's been some stuff pushed out since our last pass that we've done, but we kind of know where it's at. And we know where to direct the crews. It's going to take a couple of weeks to get mobilized, to get everything in place. And we're going to announce the length of time that we're going to remove debris so people will be ready. So what we want to say is have your debris to the road or push what you can to the road by this date before we even start, because we don't want to pass somebody up, you know, like we've done in the past and then come back and get it. So we're going to do as much public outreach on this as we can.
Councilman Lawler.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Because there's no duration stated on the resolution, is this a never-ending state of emergency, or do we need to have a 6-month state of emergency?
We can declare a state of emergency for whatever time you think is necessary to do it.
But I'm saying if there's no time on it, it's,
Right.
it's unending. Is
The
that
state of emergencies normally last for 30 days unless they're renewed by the parish president, so they got a 30-day time frame unless they automatically expire after 30 days.
they do
unless they're
automatically
renewed.
expire?
Yes.
Okay, never mind, it solves our questions.
Further questions, discussion?
Let me just add one thing, that how this came about, I mean, not this particular one, but how this idea came about is when New Orleans, they were in the same problems that we had, where you have FEMA regulations on reimbursement, and then there's things you can't get reimbursed for, and they literally went in and tore down buildings and hauled them out if they were causing public risk. If they felt they ran through, and if there was a risk of harm to the public, they went through and knocked the buildings down themselves. And I don't think we need to go that far in this point, but that's what this is based on.
Bill, if I may, it sounds like this will end in 30 days, then you have to come back again in 30 days, but we're hearing that it's going to definitely take longer than 30 days. Should we say that this is a 60 or 90-day state of emergency, so we don't have to come back and forth with this?
Or it goes in effect when you want to mobilize that,
Right,
the
that's, it
truck.
won't go into, he'll declare the state of emergency when we're ready to get started. We're just, the
Okay,
DA and I said we thought it was best that it come before y'all and let y'all hear what's going on and let y'all request this so he can declare it when he's ready to get going.
That'll work.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Is there any opposition? Motion's adopted. Thank you. Resolution's adopted. Okay, item number 13, introduction of ordinance, chapter 9, finance and taxation, sharing of sales tax revenue between the parish and municipalities generated by annexed properties. A motion to introduce.
Motion to introduce.
Motion introduced by Councilwoman Casso, second by Councilman Cagnolati. Any opposition, any discussion? Ordinance is introduced. Item number 14, introduction of ordinance to declare surplus a 2007 Jeep Liberty. Motion by Councilman Kluat, second by Councilman Satterley. Any discussion, any opposition? Ordinance is introduced. Introduction of ordinance to amend the Personnel Policy Manual, Section 5S, Working Conditions, Auto Usage. Motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilman Kluat. Any discussion, any opposition? Ordinance is introduced. Item number 16, introduction of ordinance budget amendment number 3 to amend the 2017 budget.
Motion to introduce.
Motion by Councilwoman Casso, second by Councilman Cagnolati. Any discussion, any opposition? Ordinance is introduced. Item number 17, public hearings. Reading of ordinance budget amendment number 2 to amend the 2017 budget.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. In ordinance to amend the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating 2017 operating and capital budgets for the parish of Ascension, adopted by the Ascension Parish Council on the 17th day of November 2016. Section 1, the Ascension Parish Council hereby ordains that the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating 2017 operating and capital budgets for the parish of Ascension is hereby amended, approved, and appropriated as follows. Operating budget, general fund, video programming, upgrades to equipment in council chambers, expenditures, professional services, $30,000, acquisitions, vehicles, and equipment, $50,000. Road and bridge fund, expenditures and other financing uses, transfer out to office building construction fund, $35,000. East Ascension drainage fund, expenditures and other financing uses, transfer out to office building construction fund. Fire District 1, construction of Geismar Volunteer Fire Department Station and Galvez Lake Volunteer Fire Department Station, expenditures out of financing uses, transfer out of Fire District Number 1, construction fund, $3,500,000. Capital budget, road construction fund, revenues, grants, negative $6.215, $6,215,000. Expenditures, appropriation and grants, $6,200,000. Contract payments, $3 million. Office building construction fund, DPW East building renovations, revenues transfer in and from road and bridge fund, $33,500. Transfer in from East Ascension drainage fund, $33,500. Expenditures, contract payments, $67,000. Fire District Number 1 construction fund, construction of Geismar Volunteer Fire Department and Galvez Lake Volunteer Fire Department substation, revenues and other financing sources transfer in from Fire District Number 1, $3,500,000. Expenditures, architect and landscaping services, $250,000. Professional services, $50,000. Contract payments, $3.2 million. CBG construction fund, parish sewer, revenues, LRA CDBG grant, $4,554,000. Expenditures, CBG sewer, $4,554,000. The ordinance had been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Okay, public hearing.
Motion to open public hearing.
A motion by Councilwoman Kluart, second by Councilman Joseph.
Motion to close.
And a motion by Councilman Joseph to close, second by Councilman Cagnolati. Public hearing is closed. The ordinance, budget amendment number 2.
Move the ordinance.
Councilman Johnson, motion to move the ordinance,
Second.
second by Councilman Cagnolati. Any questions, any discussion, any opposition? Ordinance is adopted. Item number 20, do I have some speakers who have indicated 20 through 25 and 21 through 24? So, I'd say you're welcome to come up at this time, or I can bring everybody up at 23, which is, I'll say that this ordinance number 1 is something we're required to pass. There's not really a choice on this, but if you want to come up and talk at this time, if you had selected 20 through 25, I have 2 people. Or you can wait, everybody can wait till 23. Okay. So we have item number 20, reading of ordinance number 1, to levy millages on the 2017 tax roll on all property subject to taxation by Ascension Parish government to include lighting district number 7. Mr. Parrington.
Be it ordained by the Council of Parish of Ascension, Louisiana, in a public meeting held on June 15, 2017, which meeting was conducted in accordance with the Open Meetings Law and additional requirements of Article 7, Section 23C of the Louisiana Constitution and Louisiana Revised Statute 47:1705B, that the following adjusted millage rates be and are hereby levied upon the dollar of the assessed value of all property subject to ad valorem taxation within the parish for the year 2017 for the purpose of raising revenue. 2017 millage. Parish tax 2.77. Parish tax Donaldsonville 1.38. Parish tax Gonzales 1.38. Health Center 1.94. Mental health 1.94. Library maintenance 4.07. Library maintenance 2.52. Road lighting district number 1 4.94. Road lighting district number 2 1.01. Road lighting district number 3, 4.96. Road lighting district number 4, 4.76. Road lighting district number 5, 5.12. Road lighting district number 6, 4.91. Road lighting district number 7, renewal 5.0. East Ascension Drainage District 4.82. West Ascension Drainage District 5.36. West Ascension Drainage District number 2, 4.67. Parish Council on Aging 1.45. Fire District number 3, 9.35. Fire District number 3, number 2, 9.35. Utilities District number 1, ACUD 10.31. Juvenile Detention Center 0.97. Be it further ordained that the assessor for the parish of Ascension shall extend upon assessment the roll of 2017 the taxes levied herein, and the tax collector said parish shall collect and remit said taxing authority in accordance with law. The foregoing ordinance was read in full and the roll was called on the adoption thereof. The ordinance was adopted by the following votes.
Public hearing.
Motion to open.
A motion by Councilwoman Casso, second by Councilman Johnson.
Motion to close.
Got a motion to close, Councilman
Second.
Joseph, second by Councilman Satterley. Have the ordinance number 1 to levy the millages on the 2017 tax roll on all properties subject to taxation by Ascension Parish government to include lighting district number 7. I'll start okay, we have a motion to adopt, Councilman Kluot, a second by Councilman Cagnolati, and I'll start the discussion here. As I said earlier, this is the ordinance that's required of us to reduce the millages based on what the prior assessments was, so this is a required ordinance here according to state law. The ordinance number 2 will be the ordinance where there's the option of reinstating those millages. Okay, any further discussion, any further questions? So any opposition? Ordinance number 1 is adopted. Item number 23, reading of ordinance number 2 to increase millage rates but not in excess of the prior year's maximum rates on all taxable properties shown on the official assessment roll for the year 2017. Mr. Parrington.
Be it ordained by the Council of Parish of Ascension, Louisiana, in a public meeting on June 15, 2017, which meeting was conducted in accordance with the Open Meeting Law, the additional requirements of Article 7, Section 23 of the Louisiana Constitution, Louisiana Revised Statute 47:1705B, that the taxing district voted to increase the millage rates, but not in excess of the prior year's maximum rates on all taxes on all taxable property shown on the official assessment roll for 2017, and when collected, the revenues from said taxes shall be used for a specific purpose for which taxes have been levied. Said millage rates are parish tax 2.77, levy 2.86. Parish tax Donaldsonville, 1.38, 2017 levy, 1.43. Parish tax Gonzales, 1.38, 2017 levy, 1.43. Health Center, 1.94, 2017 levy, 2.0. Mental Health, 2017, 1.94, 2017 levy, 2.0. Library Maintenance, 4.07, 2017 levy, 4.20. Library Maintenance 2, 2.52, 2017 levy, 2.60. Road Lighting District Number 1, 4.94, 2017 levy, 5.0. Road Lighting District Number 2, 1.01, 2017 levy, 1.01. Road Lighting District Number 3, 4.96, 2000 levy, 5.0. Road Lighting District Number 4, 4.76, 2000 levy, 5.0. Road Lighting District Number 5, 5.12, 2017 levy, 5.12. Road Lighting District Number 6, 4.91, 2017 levy, 5.0. Road Lighting District Number 7, renewal, 5.0, 2017 levy, 5.0. East Ascension Drainage District, 4.82, 2017 levy, 5.00. West Ascension Drainage District, 5.36, 2017 levy, 5.36. West Ascension Drainage District Number 2, 4.67, 2017 levy, 4.67. Parish Council on Aging, 1.45, 2017 levy, 1.50. Fire District Number 3, 9.35, 2017 levy, 10.0. Fire District Number 2, 9.35, 2017 levy, 10.0. Utilities District Number 1, ACUD, 10.31, 2000 levy, 10.31. Juvenile Detention Center, 0.97, 2017 levy, 1.00. Be it further ordained that the assessor of the parish of Ascension shall extend upon the assessment roll for the year of 2017 the taxes levied herein, and the tax collector of said parish shall collect and remit the same to said taxing authority in accordance with law. The foregoing ordinance was read in full. The roll was called on the adoption thereof, and the ordinance was adopted by no less than 2/3 of the total membership of the taxing authority voting in favor of required. Article 7, Section 23C of the Louisiana Constitution, Louisiana Revised Statute 47:1705B. The votes were as follows.
Public hearing. Motion by Mr. Cagnolati, second by Mr. Dempsey Lambert. Any discussion, any opposition? Public hearing is now open. First speaker we have tonight is Mr. Pettit, Jeff Pettit.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Pettit. I live on Family Road in just outside the city limits of Gonzales. I'm here to speak in favor of 4 of these millages. The health unit, mental health, juvenile justice, and the Council on Aging. And let me give you the reasons why. According to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, 42.5 million Americans suffer from mental illness. That's almost 1 in 5. According to trends in state courts, Tara Kunkel, Principal Court Consultant, National Center for State Courts, opioid abuse has been steadily increasing in the United States. State courts must partner with other organizations to confront this epidemic. The impact of the opioid epidemic touches every aspect of our public safety and judicial system. Drug-related arrests involving opioids are skyrocketing in many communities. Court dockets and probation caseloads are filled with individuals with opioid use disorders. And I want to enter my documentation into the record. Okay. My next one is from the American Medical Association. It's a case study that they put out. It's called End the Epidemic. We must all confront the intangible and devastating effects of stigma, The key to recovery is support and compassion. Patients in pain and patients with a substance abuse disorder need comprehensive treatment, not judgment. Treatment, not incarceration. Our health unit and our mental health unit, they offer those services at an affordable price to the public. My next thing is from the Department of Health and Human Services, and I'm going to run out of time. Despite increasing evidence, it's not the first time, right? Despite increasing evidence that addiction is a treatable disease of the brain, most individuals do not receive treatment. Involvement in the criminal justice system often results from illegal drug-seeking behavior and participation in illegal activities that reflect, in part, disrupted behavior ensuing from brain changes triggered by repeated drug use. Treatment, not incarceration. And our health unit, through their mental health services and Ascension counseling, offer those services at a very, very affordable price. And they do a great service to our community. They take a load, have the potential to take a load with support off our court system, off our law enforcement, off our first responders, and make our community better. So I would ask y'all to...
If you will, Mr. Pettit, just, you have those handouts, and
I
that
do.
to Ms. McKee, and we'll enter those into the record. I appreciate that.
I'd like to see them on the website, because I got more that I didn't get to. Maybe I'll hand them
We'll
off
look
to
at that.
somebody.
We'll look at that. Okay, next speaker on this item is Ms. Darlene Shakesnyder, Council on Aging.
Good evening. I'm Darlene Scheck-Snyder, Executive Director of the Ascension Council on Aging. I'm here to ask for a roll forward of our millage. As you know, the Council on Aging provides supportive services to seniors 60 and over to allow them to remain independent and live in their homes for as long as possible. This current fiscal year, we have a budget of over $2 million, and that includes $1,760,173 in parish millage funds, which is over 85% of our budget. And we did not receive but $1,632,000 last year for this current fiscal year. So we're asking for that roll forward of the millage so that we can have more money in our budget to provide those services for our seniors. This current fiscal year, we will finish with approximately 115,000 home-delivered meals, 28,220 units of transportation. We are the only transportation provider in Ascension Parish for elderly and disabled that do not provide services only for our clients. We provide to anyone who requests that service. We also do homemaker and information assistance, and there are many, many services that we provide to senior citizens in our parish. So we're asking for that roll forward to help us to continue providing the level of service that we have been providing to our seniors at no cost to them. We receive few donations from the seniors who can afford to give them, but there are so many who cannot. Many live on such a low income of maybe $800 a month. So our services are vital to continue to allow them to live at home with dignity and respect by providing meals, homemaker service, transportation, and many other services to those seniors. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shakesnyder. Chase Malonsaw.
Hi, how are y'all doing again? I couldn't agree more with the previous two speakers. I'm up here, my two biggest concerns would be the East Ascension Drainage Board and also the libraries. We, in the EA Drainage Fund, I know we have roughly, give or take, $40 million in that fund. And also, Here just a few months ago, it was stated that we were 2 years behind on work orders. And when you add $40 million in 2 years on work order, it doesn't seem like there's a money issue. I mean, we have funds to use, and if I'm not mistaken, this past year, we took in over $100 million as a parish in our budget, which is the most we've ever done. And that's up roughly 40-50% from the early 2000s. And as far as I know, we don't have 40-50% more ditches, and we've never had a development that's impacted drainage. So we have the most money we've ever had. Nothing's ever impacted it, and we're 2 years behind on maintaining what we have. So I can't fathom anybody thinking that we need to put more money in that fund. We can't properly utilize what we have. And also libraries, I find it hard to ask for another $240,000 to maintain something that we're doing a $3 million expansion to, which I also, believe was unnecessary. And that's just my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Suzanne Hamilton, Mental Health.
Good evening. I'm Suzanne Hamilton, and I'm here to speak about Ascension Counseling Center, which is a department of Ascension Parish government. And as people think about bloated government and taxes that are unnecessarily collected, all I can see is the faces of the people that we deal with. We work with children, teens, and adults for mental health and substance abuse services. And for what we do with the money, we do have some capital improvements that need to be made to our building, to our parking lot, to our lighting for safety. But it's really about the programs. And so we have so many things. Usually we go through what we call a summer slump. This year it hasn't happened yet. We've saw more people than we have ever this last month of April or May than we have in any other month. And so we have so many new programs that are coming up, some of them that are just in the forming stage, but they all require staffing and they all require workbooks and manuals. And we do so many free things, like we provide a stop smoking class free of charge, and we provide the nicotine patches free of charge, and all of that comes out of our budget. We also see domestic violence, abuse survivors and children of abuse free of charge. They don't pay a dime. We see people who come out of prison for the first 3 months of their time when they're out of prison. We see them free of charge. We're also working with the court systems to be able to offer a drug court possibility. This is in the early planning stages. We haven't even had any meetings on it. But if we do that, we'll be providing intensive outpatient services for substance abuse treatment, and we'll need to add new staff for that. And so we're also working with a reentry coalition to help people who've been released from jail to be reintegrated back into the community in such a way that they don't go back to jail. We provide a counselor at the jail 40 hours a week, full-time, at no cost to anyone else but ourselves. We don't charge the sheriff. We don't charge the jail. He's there. We're also beginning to provide women's services at the jail so that we're having support groups for them. All of this takes workbooks, materials, staff. So we do a lot for the community. And for us, whenever we talk about the millage, we're talking about individual people. And the people of this parish have been so generous to continue to fund us for our services every year. And we do accept people who have insurances and people who can't afford to pay, because we do give quality services that you would get at any other private practice. But we do provide so many people who have no income and low income, and the generous people of Ascension Parish help to make that a reality. And we want to say thank you to the council and to all the residents of Ascension Parish for all of the support that you've given us up to this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Mr. Randy Shin.
Good evening. I'm Randy Shin, 17566 Simpson Road. Most of you have seen me at least once. I'm speaking both in favor and against. In favor of the mental health, the health, and the council on the aging, and the fire districts. We need to support the law enforcement empowerment. We need to support our aging. We need to support health and mental health. Definitely. I'm strongly against the EA drainage and the library. You know, you drive down 42, you see a $3 million expansion on a library. How you coming up and saying that, you know, we need more money? You had money to do a $3 million expansion, but you need more money. I don't think so, but I know there's other people, and that's just what I wanted to put out tonight.
Thank you. Okay, Joanne Brown, mental health. Yes.
Thank you. I'm here to talk about the mental health program that y'all have in Ascension Parish. That's probably the only one in the state that's funded with tax dollars. The governor, I've been appointed by 3 governors to serve on state boards across the state in the past several years. And it's always kind of proud to say that I'm from Ascension Parish and what we have to offer, because they don't have that in other parishes. But what they do have in other parishes that I find is very valuable is a drug court. And I know this parish does not, one of the few parishes in the state that does not have a formal drug court. I would say that what's happening in the parish and the state with the heroin addiction and what we're seeing would happen to young people in this state, it's important that we fund our mental health program, because it's not getting any better. Things are not going to improve in this field. I've been through alcohol addiction, cocaine addiction. Now we're into the opiate addiction cycle. And when that goes away, something else is going to come up. So addiction is here to stay, and we need to prepare for that. We need to start, I guess, looking it forward is what we need to be doing. The parish health department, in my opinion, is one of the best organizations that I've seen in the state, and I've seen a lot. Ms. Hamilton is a great professional person that runs a great program over there, and it would be a shame for her not to get the funds that she needs to pursue what she needs to do in the parish to make our parish at least safe for our young people. I appreciate you giving this your consideration. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Chief Mark Stewart, Fire District number 3.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. Just here tonight to ask for favorable passage of the roll forward of our 2 millages to the 10 mills. That's what we asked when they were passed by the citizens, constituents in our area, and that's what they approved. That's what we're asking for. For just a brief little history, you know, we only started Fire District 3 about 10, 11 years ago, and we believe we've made some pretty substantial progress. And every time we look to try to maybe pat ourselves on the back, we look around and there's more stuff coming, and we realize we're just keeping our heads above water and keeping up with it. So a few years ago, our user fee was not renewed, and we lost a little over $400,000 a year from that. So we still have many needs. As you all know, the growth is continuing to come. The members of Ascension Parish Fire District 3 Board of Commissioners, who are appointed to oversee that taxing district and make decisions, did pass a resolution to roll the millage forward to 10 mills. And last year, we came forward with this, and it was approved to roll it forward. And I don't remember exactly what happened, but it didn't happen. So we're just asking for your consideration, and you've been very supportive of us since we started, and we'd appreciate your consideration in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. So there's no more cards for public comment. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Cagnolati, second by Councilman Johnson. Any opposition? Public hearing is closed. We're going to move to the ordinance. So just for everybody's information, we're gonna take these by section or by paragraph. So we're gonna take each one of these millages or each one of the districts, and we will vote on those individually. Once this is packaged all up, then we'll still have to vote on an amended ordinance. So the first part of this, as we go through the table, we'll build the amendment, and then we'll have to vote on an amended ordinance. So I'll start, and I'd like to The parish tax, I'd like to give you a little more information on that. We will only vote on the first item, which is parish tax, because parish tax in Donaldsonville and parish tax in Gonzales are set by statute at 50% of the parish tax value. So we will start at this parish tax, and what we'll vote on is whether to roll forward or not. So a yes vote will indicate you'd like to adopt the millage in the 2017 levy. A no vote would be the column that says 2017 millage, which is the lower value. So we'll start with parish tax, and we'll start with a discussion. Is there any discussion on this? Mr. Cluart?
Yeah, I just think any help that we can give to the taxpayers, I'm in favor of going with the 277 millage.
Okay. Any other discussion, comments? Okay, we're going to have a roll call, Madam Secretary, if you don't mind on this.
Councilman Turner?
No.
Councilman Satterley?
No.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert?
No.
Councilman Randy Cluott?
No.
Councilman Joseph?
No.
Councilman Lawler?
No.
Councilwoman Casso?
No.
Councilman Cagnolati?
No.
Councilman Johnson?
No.
Chairman Dawson?
No. So we'll move to Health Center, where the 2017 millage is 1.94. The 2017 levy is 2.0. Again, a vote on whether to roll forward or not. Any discussion on this item? Councilwoman Casso.
I only want to compliment Suzanne myself, to tell her and those, her board, how very proud I am of the work that she does. And there is so much more to do, and we are just scratching the surface. So I'm going to encourage my fellow members of this council to support the mental health roll forward.
Further discussion? This is Health Center.
I'm sorry. I'll go for that one too.
Okay.
Second on that one.
Okay, Madam Secretary, Health Center.
Councilman Turner?
Yes.
Satterley?
Yes.
Dempsey Lambert?
Yes.
Councilman Cluott?
Yes.
Councilman Joseph?
Yes.
Councilman Lawler?
Yes.
Councilwoman Casso?
Yes.
Councilman Cagnolati?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Chairman Dawson?
Yes. Okay, a mental health program. Now, is there any discussion on mental health program? Councilman Cluott.
Yeah, I just want to expand on what Suzanne had talked about, and what Ms. Brown came up and spoke about is drug court, and just something that we can do to try to get people help. Based on mental health, we're almost a year into a major tragedy. We've had everybody hug each other, and you had a lot of people help as soon as everybody got flooded and lost everything they had. And then sometimes the good, close help goes away and people are left on their own. They go through all kind of stress trying to get some kind of relief, working with government agencies, working with private agencies and things like that. And it's right now, almost a year in, it's starting to hit people hard. It's hitting them. And I would just like to, anytime we can go accolades for the mental health program and have people in Ascension Parish take advantage of it, please do. Thank you.
Further discussion? Madam Secretary. Roll forward to 2 mills.
Do you need a motion first?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Turner?
Yes.
Councilman Satterley?
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert?
Yes.
Councilman Cluott?
Yes.
Councilman Joseph?
Yes.
Councilman Lawler?
Yes.
Councilwoman Casso?
Yes.
Councilman Cagnolati?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Chairman Dawson?
Yes. Okay, next, and we'll go to library maintenance, and I want to comment here that the library board has sent us a resolution asking us not to roll forward their millages, both of these millages, because of the situation of August 2016 flood. They're represented here with us tonight. So I entertain a motion to roll forward the library maintenance. So we're gonna go through this as a roll forward. You can vote no on this if you like, but.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Councilman Turner.
No.
Councilman Satterly.
No.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert. No. Councilman Kluat.
No.
Councilman Joseph.
No.
Councilman Lawler.
No.
Councilwoman Casso.
No.
Councilman Cagnolati.
No.
Councilman Johnson.
No.
Chairman Dawson.
No. Library maintenance number 2. Any discussion on this?
Make the motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion to roll forward. Madam Secretary.
Councilman Turner.
No.
Councilman Satterly.
No.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Councilman Kluat.
No.
Councilman Joseph.
No.
Councilman Lawler.
No.
Councilwoman Casso.
No.
Councilman Cagnolati.
No.
Councilman Johnson.
No.
Chairman Dawson.
No. On the next item, I'd entertain a motion to group road lighting districts 1 through 6 together.
So moved.
Motion is second. Any opposition to that? Okay, so we're gonna consider all 6 of these. I'm gonna leave out 7 because it's a renewal. So lighting districts 1 through 6, and motion to roll forward. Motion by
Second.
Councilman Johnson, second by Councilwoman Castle. Any discussion?
Councilman Turner.
No.
Councilman Satterly.
No.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert. No. Councilman Kluat.
No.
Councilman Joseph.
No.
Councilman Lawler.
No.
Councilwoman Casso.
No.
Councilman Cagnolati.
No.
Councilman Johnson.
No.
Chairman Dawson.
No. Okay, road lighting district number 7 is a renewal, and so this, if you'll see, there's 5 mills in both columns here. Maybe ask that we adopt
Second.
this. I have a motion to roll forward. We'll do this on since this is not an increase, we'll do this on an exception. Is there any opposition to rolling forward item number 7, even though there's no millage increase here?
And just, if you don't mind, the maximum you can do with the new light district is 5 mills, if I'm not mistaken. I'm looking for Miss Gwen.
She was here. There she is.
5 mil, correct, Miss Gwen? Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have it at 5 mil. So that's adopted. Next is East Ascension Drainage District, and that goes from 4.82 to 5.0 for its roll forward. So take a motion to roll that forward.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Dempsey
Second.
Lambert, second by Councilman Lawler. Any discussion on this, East Ascension Drainage? No discussion, Madam Secretary.
Councilman Turner.
No.
Councilman Satterly.
No.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Kluat.
Yes.
Councilman Joseph.
No.
Councilman Lawler.
No.
Councilwoman Casso.
No.
Councilman Cagnolati.
No.
I'm sorry?
No.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Dawson.
Yes. Can you give me the result?
4 yeas.
I'm sorry?
4 yeas.
4 yeas. That doesn't pass. West Ascension Drainage. They're going from 5, this doesn't change, 5.36 to 5.36. Maybe ask you to adopt this out of caution.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any opposition to this? Hearing none. That's adopted. West Ascension Drainage District number 2, again, no increase, 4.67 to 4.67.
So moved.
A motion.
Second.
Councilman Lawler. I said that too many times. And second by Cagnolati, Councilman Cagnolati. Any opposition? Village is adopted. Parish Council on Aging, 1.45 to 1.5.
Motion to roll forward.
Motion to roll forward. Councilman Kluart, second by Councilman Joseph. Any discussion?
I do have a brief discussion.
Councilman
Ms.
Lawler.
Scheck-Snyder, and believe me, I know this is important, Council on Aging is important. If you can approach your microphone. At the last time we went through this last year, you had stated that we wouldn't be able to provide people meals if we didn't give that extra, I think it was $50,000. The only thing that concerned me about that is at the time, y'all had about $1 million in the bank.
Right.
I want to make sure that we're not just holding money in the bank and we're not getting people meals. We should never be holding money in the bank if somebody's hungry.
Correct. We do have some money in the bank, and we do have a waiting list. However, our waiting list is constantly changing. We get it down to 20, and it'll come back up to maybe 40 within a month. But then we get it back down and get it back down. If we don't have that much money sitting in the bank, it's probably about $700,000. And the reason why I'm holding on to that is the baby boomers, our population is increasing so much, so fast. And we have to look at possibly serving the Geismar, Prairieville area with a senior center eventually. So I have to hold on to something for that future purpose. And if we put somebody on with this money that's not reoccurring, then next year, when we depreciate all of those funds, then somebody's going to have to tell that senior citizen you can no longer have that meal.
I'm just worried, how do we tell people now that are on a waiting list they can't get a meal because we're
Well, we
holding
get them on as soon as possible. And the waiting list really revolves pretty quickly, like I said. Someone may go on meals and then decide this is not what I want. So 2 weeks later, they're coming off. And then we're constantly putting people on and off. Our meal routes, which I have 7 in East Ascension Parish on frozen meals, and then I have another hot meal route for our most frail, vulnerable citizens. And they're constantly changing because it's a revolving door almost in some cases. And then we have seniors who transition into nursing homes or who may pass away. And so it's a constant change. Every week we are changing our meal routes. So those routes go pretty quickly. They don't stay on that waiting list very long.
Okay, is the waiting list because of the route, just getting a driver and putting them into the route?
Yeah, the cost of hiring another driver, providing, all of the other things that our staff get, all of the benefits that they get. Just hiring another driver to put them out on the road is really cost prohibitive sometimes. I have, like I said, 7 different routes that's going out, and that's let's see, I have the numbers here. Currently, we serve, it is, our average daily meal count going out every day is 450 meals to senior citizens. Then we serve another 100 plus in our centers. So it's not an easy thing to do, to serve all of East Ascension Parish from Bluff Road all the way to the Diversion Canal. And we work our routes pretty efficiently to do that. But it's still, to put on another route and hire another driver is very cost prohibitive sometimes. So we just keep that going where we get somebody off and we put somebody else on. The waiting is really not that long.
Okay, I just don't want to hear that anybody's
Yeah.
waiting for a meal.
And
We've
if
got
somebody's waiting,
$700,000 in the bank.
if we have someone who's frail and vulnerable, we put them on that hot route.
Okay,
If
good.
they're not efficient, if they don't fit that route, then we move them onto a frozen route when that opening comes. But we do put them on a hot route if they are really needing that meal.
Okay, thank you. And you got my support on this, don't worry.
Councilman Cagnalotti.
Just a comment, the Council on Aging, as is every other parish agency, is very cooperative. We had a Memorial Day celebration, and the weather was bad, and instead of having it at Veterans Park, they opened the doors for us, and it was held at the Council on Aging Center. Very well attended. But that's the kind of cooperation and spirit we have in Ascension Parish, and I think they deserve everything they can get. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Satterley.
Yes, ma'am. I hate to bring you back up to the mic, dear. You mentioned centers. I need an education. How many centers do we have, and where are they geographically located in the parish?
We currently have 2 centers, one here in Gonzales, right here on Irma Boulevard, and
Where
one
that?
in Donaldsonville.
Okay.
And like I said,
And you made a
with-
comment about maybe wanting to build one. Did you say in Prairieville?
Well, we're looking at possibly Prairieville, Geismar. It depends on where the demand is. Currently, I don't have a true demand for that service. We would probably first start with the meal site, where we would serve just meals at some
So
common
right now,
area.
the building of a center in either of those two locations is not justified because demand's not quite there yet.
Correct. We
But
bring
But you
anybody.
anticipate demand.
Yes, because the population is growing so fast of the 60-plus.
And how much, ma'am, did you say you have in the bank?
Above the current fiscal year and next fiscal year's budget, about $786,000.
And what did you have last year?
We had a little bit more than that last year. We had to use a little bit of our savings this current year to fill in for the what we did not get in parish millage.
Is that the largest, I don't want to call it surplus because I don't know how to label it. Largest amount of money, just money that you've ever had in the bank that's above what you need to provide the services you're providing, but you're collecting in order to build a center?
We had a little bit more than that, but we increased the size of the center here in Gonzales to the tune of over $750,000 about 3 years ago. So we did, and we tried to put some money on the side for things that may break, new roofs, whatever else that we need. We are not a parish agency. We are a private nonprofit. So the parish does not repair anything at our centers. We are responsible for all of those things.
And the final question, do you have any concept what it might take to build a center in Prairieville and Geismar?
Well, it depends on if I find a building that is already, that we can renovate for that purpose. But I know what it took to add on to this building here in Gonzales. And like I said, it was over $750,000. So I'm probably over $1 million or more.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Further discussion, further questions? Okay, so we have a motion and a second to roll forward the Parish Council on Aging, 1.45 to 1.5. Madam Secretary.
Councilman Turner.
Yes.
Councilman Satterley.
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Kluwat.
Yes.
Councilman Joseph.
Yes.
Councilman Lawler.
Yes.
Councilwoman Cazo.
Yes.
Councilman Cagnolati.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Dawson.
Yes. Fire District number 3.
So
Move
moved.
from, roll forward from 9.35 to 10.0.
Have a motion.
Have a motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilwoman Casso. Discussion. Hearing none. We'll call for the question. Ms. McKee.
Councilman Turner.
Yes.
Councilman Satterley.
No.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
No.
Councilman Kluwat.
Yes.
Councilman Joseph.
Yes.
Councilman Lawler.
Yes.
Councilwoman Casso.
Yes.
Councilman Cagnolati.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Dawson.
Yes.
8 yeas.
8 yeas. Fire District number, that is adopted. Fire District number 3, number 2, which is 9.35 to 10.0. A motion to roll forward, motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilman Cagnolati. Any discussion? Any questions? Call for the question.
Councilman Turner.
Yes.
Councilman Satterley.
No.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
No.
Councilman Kluwat.
Yes.
Councilman Joseph.
Yes.
Councilman Lawler.
Yes.
Councilwoman Casso.
Yes.
Councilman Cagnolati.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Dawson.
Yes.
8 yeas.
It's also adopted. Utilities District number 1, ACUD. Again, this is one that does not increase 10.31 to 10.31 by will.
Motion move forward.
Second.
A motion, do we have any, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Do we have any opposition to that? Hearing none, that's amended to roll forward. Juvenile Detention Center, 0.97 to 1.0. A motion by Councilman Kluwat, second by Councilwoman Casso. Any discussion on juvenile detention? Councilman Kluwat.
Yes, just a quick note, and this rolls back to mental health and incarceration and everything. We've been working for a couple of years now trying to settle up something long-term for the 23rd Judicial District in juvenile detention and services and facilities. and it's still a work in progress. And we have a very large number of juveniles that we have to ship all over the South Louisiana, and some have went to North Louisiana. So I think this millage right here is well worth it, and I'd like to see it pass.
Councilman Satterley.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, is anyone, can anyone speak to the issue of when we passed this tax, not too long ago, it was intended that the tax be used to build our own center in Ascension Parish so that we could sort of wean ourselves off, as Randy was talking about, the surrounding parishes, and not even surrounding ones, that we have to bring our juvies to. I remember discussion, well, the price per bed, per head, per day was exorbitant, sort of like an individual who found themselves outside the law. The cost for just a single day was like staying a night in the Ritz-Carlton, and the justification was then we could do a lot better by building our own. How much money have we collected since this tax has been in vogue, and how close are we, or yet far away, from building said center in Ascension Parish?
So who from the administration, is there someone here that's capable of answering that?
Went back there.
Gwen?
Tax yield's approximately $1 million, but we put half of it, approximately $500,000, in a escrow account to use for our building if and when we build it.
Ms. LeBlanc, do you know the amount of reserve that's in that account? Approximate?
Well, how long's it been in?
2 years, 3 years?
3 years, I think. So it'd be $1.5 million.
About $1.5 million. Mr. President.
Terrebonne just built one for 8-point-something million, okay? We are, Mr. Cluart knows, and some others, Ms. Katz, or whoever is a little bit involved with the courthouse, that in talking with the sheriff, we're looking at possibly doing something where the old courtrooms are. But that's not in stone, but we're trying to do it the most economical way. And that will be only if they change some of those crazy regulations about the ceiling height and all kind of things like that. But that would be our most cost-effective way if we can do that. If not, we looked at the St. James facility. It's an old facility. We could have bought it, but I think it would have ate us up. So we will come to you when we have a legitimate plan on the juveniles. Right now, we have 6 rooms that we pay. We got booked about $200 and something per night. So half of the money of that millage is paying for the incarceration at this time. Plus, it also pays for ankle bracelets that is a lot cheaper, but I mean, you can't put them all on ankle bracelets.
Councilman Cluart.
Yeah, I just, Gwen, I hate to call you back to the front, but I just, as we get to the end of this millage, maybe somebody else can answer, just looking at exactly what is a mill worth in Ascension Parish right now.
$1 million.
It's about $1.3 million.
1.3, okay. And so, I just want to clear that up before we get to the end of this.
Further questions, discussion? We have a motion and a second to roll forward Juvenile Detention Center from .97 to 1.0. The question, Madam
Councilman
Secretary.
Turner.
Yes.
Councilman Satterley.
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Cluat.
Yes.
Councilman Joseph.
Yes.
Councilman Lawler.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilwoman Casso.
Yes.
Councilman Cagnolati.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Dawson.
Yes. Okay, so we've crafted the amendment. The amendment, Madam Secretary, will be to strike parish tax Donaldsonville, parish tax Gonzales, library maintenance number 2, road lighting district number 1, road lighting district number 2, road lighting district number 3, road lighting district number 4, road lighting district number 5, road lighting district number 6, East Ascension Drainage District. The rest will remain intact. So that's the amended ordinance. has these strike-throughs. What's left will be rolled forward, and this ordinance requires a 2/3 vote. A motion to adopt.
Second.
And second. Okay, any discussion? The roll call, Madam Secretary.
Councilman Turner.
Yes.
Councilman Satterly.
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Kulat.
Yes.
Councilman Joseph.
Yes.
Councilman Lawler.
Yes.
Councilwoman Casso.
Yes.
Councilman Cagnolati.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Dawson.
Yes. That's a big. The ordinance is approved as amended. Okay, reading of ordinance item number 26, reading of ordinance to amend and revise the Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code pertaining to subdivision construction. I have, okay, that's okay.
You ready?
Mr. Parrington.
Whereas Ascension Parish is a local government subdivision is defined by Article 6, Section 44, Louisiana Constitution, 1974. Whereas the Parish of Ascension is the governing and responsible body over zoning and land use regulations within this jurisdiction. Whereas Article 6 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish adopted May 4th, 1993 identifies the process and manner to adopt the lands of ordinances regulating this parish. Whereas the Parish Office of Planning and Development in cooperation with the coordination with the Chief Engineer of the Parish and Engineer Review Agency has prepared a set of subdivision construction specifications which is intended to formalize improvements required in new development within the parish. Whereas it has been submitted to the governing authority through the recommendation of the Planning Commission that these subdivision construction specifications be adopted as an additional appendix of the Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code. Whereas by adopting the subdivision specifications, certain provisions of the current Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code must be revised and amended to either reference said specifications and/or to prevent any conflict, irregularities from occurring based on the application and enforcement of said specifications, and as such, said amendments are hereby being made through this ordinance. Be it ordained by the Ascension Parish governing authority that it hereby adopts the subdivision specifications as recommended by the Ascension Parish Planning Commission and the Office of Planning and Development, and said subdivision specifications be incorporated in the Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code as Appendix 14. Be it further ordained that the Ascension Parish governing authority that the Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code be amended as follows. Section 17407A be revised and amended to read, the subdivider shall comply with the provisions of the Ascension Parish subdivision construction specifications as set forth in Appendix 14 of the Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code. No construction work shall proceed until the chief engineer or his designee shall give written approval of the plans. Section 17409E be revised and amended to read, testing. The chief engineer or his designee shall approve the testing laboratory selected by the developer contractor. The extent of testing required by the developer contractor shall be determined by the Ascension Parish subdivision construction specifications at the approved laboratory. The chief engineer or his designee may order additional testing as deemed appropriate and necessary. The developer contractor is to pay for the testing service. Section 17409E1 is to be deleted entirely from the code. 17409E2 to be deleted entirely from the code. Section 17409E4 be deleted entirely from the code. Section 17409E5 be deleted entirely from the code. Section 17409E6 to be revised and amended to read, for any result from a concrete cylinder break test that does not meet the required strength as contained in the Ascension Parish subdivision construction specifications, the concrete is to be demolished, regraded, poured, and retested until passing result is achieved. Section 17409E7 to be deleted in entirety from the code. Section 174032 to be revised and amended to read, street signs and traffic control devices must be furnished and installed by the subdivider according to the Ascension Parish subdivision construction specifications. 174032I to be deleted entirely from the code. Section 174032J to be revised and amended to read, design of streets shall be in accordance with the AASHOTO geometrical design of highways and streets. Latest revision as amended. Construction of streets shall be in accordance with the Ascension Parish subdivision construction specifications. Section 174034F be revised and amended to read, all construction shall be in accordance with the Ascension Parish subdivision construction specifications. Section 174045 be revised and amended to read, drainage pipe shall used shall meet requirements of the Ascension Parish subdivision construction specifications. Section 174046D be revised and amended to read, all sanitary sewer mains shall be tested in accordance with the Ascension Parish subdivision specifications. Section 175010A be revised and amended to read, all drainage and earthwork construction shall be constructed in accordance with the Ascension Parish subdivision regulations. All temporary culverts require a permit and written approval by the Department of Public Works and or appropriate drainage district. Section 178049D be revised and amended to read, access to each mobile home site shall be provided by 20-foot wide private drive located within private servitudes of access having a minimum of 50 feet. All drives shall be constructed of 8.5 inches of soil cement base with 1.5 inches of asphalt wearing surface. All drives must be named, and street signs and traffic controls shall be provided. Street signs and traffic controls are to be installed per Ascension Parish subdivision construction specifications. Section 179040A4 be revised and amended to read, access to each RV site shall be provided by 20-foot wide private drives located within private servitudes of access having a minimum width of 50 feet. All drives shall be constructed of 8.5 inches of soil cement base with 1.5 inches of asphaltic wearing surface. All drives shall be named, and street signs and traffic control signs shall be provided. Street signs and traffic control signs are to be installed per Ascension Parish subdivision construction specifications. In the event any portion of this ordinance is ever held invalid or unconstitutional for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction over it, such portion shall be deemed a separate, distinct, and independent provision, shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of this ordinance. This ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Public hearing. A motion by Councilman Cagnolotti, second by Councilman Johnson. Public hearing is now open. Have one speaker on this item, Mr. Joe Moore.
Joe Moore, I reside at 11859 River Highlands Drive in Santa Monica. I'm here on behalf of the Ascension Board of Realtors and the developers of Ascension. Most of the developers are in Washington, D.C. For their annual meeting with Congress. So the only thing I have to comment tonight is in regards to the regulation on subdivision regulations for the building of roads according to the subdivision ordinance and regulations, that this ordinance should, if it does not already do so, allow for open ditch subdivisions similar to the one that was built last year, because it would actually cause less flooding that we discussed at the last council meeting here. That's my only comment tonight.
Thank you. Jerome, would you like to come up for any questions? To remove the ordinance, a motion by Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Casso to move the ordinance. Any discussion, any questions? Councilman Satterley.
Yes, Jerome, I would only like to hear your response to the gentleman that just spoke.
Right now, the subdivision specs don't allow for open ditch subdivisions, something we'll look at, but currently, under ordinance, all drainage has to be undergrounded. So, you know, that's something we might consider at a future date. I might add that the subdivision specifications that were before you tonight for approval, we are looking at as a document that will need revisions as different technology comes available to the parish. So it's something we definitely look at. If you want to pursue open ditches and subdivisions, we'll consider that. All right. So,
well, I'm not a big fan, by the way, of open ditches, having several surrounding my home. Lots of problems cutting your grass, mosquito problems, et cetera. But if it's an issue, as the gentleman said, about impeding water flow, I guess, when you close a ditch and go through culverts versus when it's open, I just don't know how to.
Yeah. I think one of the things that we're discussing internally right now is how to keep our culverts clean. You know, as we're going through the acceptance process, the inspection for final plat approval, we're trying to make sure that we're accepting drainage improvements that are clean and operational, and that's something that we're trying to consider right now, especially in this time of drainage concerns in the parish.
Thank you, Mr. Fournier. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Further questions, discussion? Councilwoman Castle.
Only a comment. I don't want to go backwards to open ditch subdivisions. I mean, while I understand it, I'm very concerned about that. I mean, we are doing everything we can do to move toward a communities that are safe, where people are not being exposed to West Nile virus and Zika and everything else that comes along with sewage and ditches. So as a matter of public safety, I could not support returning to open ditches.
Councilman Lawler.
One of the other concerns that I have with open ditches is something that we've heard about a lot in our drainage meetings, is we are already behind in maintaining those. If we keep adding more open ditches, we're already behind, we're going to get further behind. Yes, culverts do take maintenance, but it's less maintenance than what we have now. The upfront cost is certainly greater, but we're going to continue to fall behind. And once a ditch gets clogged and we can't clean it, you know, it's a bad situation. I think we need to stick with where we are right now, moving towards the future here.
Councilman Kluot.
I don't want to go backwards, but there's some scenarios of the ranch styles, subdivisions, the large lots, things like that, where there's some opportunity for open ditches. Right. And even on the state highways, I mean, in my district, we have people that have maybe 100 to 150 feet of their frontage culverted and, you know, closed in with catch basins. But that doesn't take care near about what that ditch would have taken care of. Right. And so I think there's some opportunities sometimes. I don't want to shut the door completely. I have one other concern about subdivision regulations, and as if we fall into roads, that sometimes we talked about elevations and things like that. We're going to get into a lot of discussions about that.
Yes, sir.
We have a regulation for the road height that sometimes hurts us too.
Okay.
So that's all. I don't want to get into an hour of that, but I'm going to just let, you know,
okay.
Need somewhere for the water to go.
Ms. Castle.
I'll comment in at a time that's more appropriate. Thank you.
Okay. Further discussion, further questions. So we have a motion and a second to move the ordinance.
Motion.
Any opposition? Motion is, ordinance is adopted.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment?
Of course.
I wanted to thank staff and all the people who worked on these specifications. They're really bringing Ascension Parish into the forefront right now, and these are our own specifications, and we're going to be working on those diligently. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Dawson.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson, Chairman Dawson. I just want to say and kind of echo what Jerome said. This is something that we've been working on since I came to Ascension Parish, when we had Ben Laurie, that was the chief engineer here. This has been an effort that we've been doing to try to establish specification that developers and engineers could come into the parish and look at and not have a lot of questions. It was a job well done by Jerome and the staff, by CSRS that assisted with it, and President Metaxas supported getting this done. And I just want to thank you for passing this. This is a major step in doing something very positive, for being consistent on our engineering designs and specification for our subdivisions and roads, sewer, and everything associated with it. So great job to the staff, and thank you again for supporting and passing it.
Thank you. Okay, so the ordinance has been adopted. Moving to item number 29, reading of the ordinance, and I'll entertain a motion to read the amended ordinance.
Motion.
A motion by Ms. Casso, second by Mr. Joseph, and Mr. Malcolm Dugas, or is it Jim? Who's going to read the ordinance? Y'all take turns?
You want to do it?
Thank you, Jim.
Good evening. The ordinance is some 34 pages long. What I will do is read the first 2 pages and then attach the remaining part of the ordinance, which is the articles that run from 1 to 14 plus Exhibit A as an exhibit. And then the council can vote on it as proposed. An ordinance providing for the incurring of debt and issuance of not to exceed $25 million aggregate principal amount of Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana revenue bonds in one or more series, the bonds, prescribing the form, terms, and conditions of the bonds and the security therefore, designating the date, denomination, and place of payment of such bonds, providing for the payment of such bonds in principal and interest, approving and confirming the sale of such bonds, and providing for the other matters with respect to the bonds. Whereas the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, the issuer, is a body politique and corporate and a political subdivision of the State of Louisiana, and whereas the Ascension Parish Sales Tax District Number 2 of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, the district is a political subdivision created by the issuer, and whereas the district is now levying and collecting a 0.5% sales and use tax, the tax pursuant to an election held in the district on July 16, 1994, at which election the following proposition was approved by a majority of the qualified electors voting at such election. Proposition summary: authorization for Ascension Parish Sales Tax District Number 2 to levy a 0.5% sales and use tax to be used as follows: 1/3 for capital improvements, equipment, services, supplies, and other lawful purposes for fire protection, EMS, and rescue service, and 2/3 for the construction, maintenance, and improvement of rural roads, said tax to be subject to funding and to bonds. Shall the Ascension Parish Sales Tax District Number 2 of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, the district, which includes all of the territory of Ascension Parish outside the present boundaries of the municipalities of Gonzales, Donaldsonville, and Sorrento, under the provisions of Article 6, Section 29 of the Constitution of the State of Louisiana of 1974, and other constitutional and statutory authorities supplemental thereto, be authorized to levy and collect and adopt an ordinance providing for the levy and collection of a tax of 1/2 or 1% the tax upon the sale at retail, the use, the lease, or rental, the consumption and storage for use or consumption of tangible property, and on sales of services in the district, all as presently defined in LARS 47:301 through LARS 47:317 inclusive, to be dedicated and used after paying the reasonable and necessary costs and expenses of collecting and administering the tax as follows: 1/3 of the proceeds of the tax for the purpose of capital improvements, equipment, services, supplies, and other lawful purposes for fire protection and emergency medical service and rescue service for the residents of the district, and 2/3 of the proceeds of the tax for the purpose of construction, maintenance, and improvement of rural roads in the district, including engineering and utility relocation, to be subject to funding and to bonds by the district as provided by Subpart F of Part 3 of Chapter 4 of Title 39 of Louisiana Revised Statutes as amended, and other items related thereto. Whereas pursuant to the authority of the aforesaid election and an ordinance adopted by the district on August 18, 1994, providing for the levy and collection of the tax ordinance, the district is authorized to levy and collect the tax and the proceeds of such tax after reasonable and necessary costs and expenses of the collection and administration thereof have been paid therefrom, shall be available for appropriation and expenditure by the issuer for the purposes designated in the proposition authorizing the levy of the tax, and whereas as set forth in the above proposition, 2/3 of the proceeds of the tax after paying the reasonable and necessary costs and expenses of collecting and administering the tax are dedicated and shall be used for purposes of construction, maintenance, and improvement of rural roads in the district, including engineering and utility relocation, the pledged tax, and whereas the issuer now desires to issue its revenue bonds payable from an irrevocable pledge and dedication of the avails or proceeds received from the pledge tax revenues in accordance with Section 1430 of Title 39 of the Louisiana Revised Statutes of 1950 as amended, and other constitutional and statutory authority for the purpose of, 1, funding the costs of construction, maintaining, and improving roads within the district, the project, and 2, funding a debt service reserve fund if necessary, and 3, paying the cost of issuing the bonds. And whereas, other than the bonds, the issuer has no outstanding bonds or other obligations of any kind or nature payable from or enjoying a lien on the pledge tax revenues herein pledged, and whereas it is now desired and necessary to fix the details with respects to the issuance of the bonds and to provide for the authorization and issuance thereof. Now therefore be it ordained by the Parish Council of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, acting as governing authority of the issuer, the governing authority as described in Exhibit 1. The ordinance having been submitted to vote, the vote thereon was as follows.
Public hearing.
Motion.
You have a motion by Councilman Cluott, second by Councilman Cagnolati. A motion by Councilman Satterlee, second by Councilman Cagnolati. A motion to move the ordinance by Councilman Cluott.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Casso. Discussion. Councilman Cluott.
Yes, fine, Counselor.
Yes, sir.
Given all that verbiage, can we make clear to everybody what the bond's for?
Excuse me?
That looking at
Summary.
The summary of what the,
Summary?
yeah.
It'll allow you to issue up to $25 million in bonds. Once the ordinance goes through the process and goes through bond commission, and the potential, the closing date that we have is August 9th, 2017, which if everything goes the way it should go, that should be the date that the bonds could be sold.
And this is for a possible future courthouse.
Yeah, no, this is for the road.
Not that one.
Move Ascension.
Move Ascension. I mean.
This is for the road projects.
The road, that's what I meant. I just want to make clear everybody, I just said it wrong again, but I want to make clear what everybody.
Yes.
That
They're
what
very,
this is
well, I
for.
can they're very similar because this is 25 million and the other one is, I think, 26 million.
Yeah, and sometimes we have verbiage up here that people are watching on TV and it's just like, they don't really understand what it's.
I totally understand.
Further questions or discussion? A motion and a second to move the ordinance. Any opposition? Hearing none. Ordinance is adopted. Item number 32. Motion, Councilman Cagnolati, to adjourn.